The planet was impossible. Captain Elias Kade stood on the observation deck, staring at Nova 217 through the reinforced glass. The planet was lush, untouched, perfect for colonization, a paradise lost in the vast emptiness of space. Except, according to every historical record, it had been discovered before, and then, without explanation, it had been erased. No official logs, no survivors, no transmissions beyond the initial survey report, just one chilling phrase left in the archives: "Do not return, it will begin again." Yet here they were. Elias's second-in-command, Reed, stood beside him. "This planet shouldn't exist, Captain, so why does it?" Elias exhaled, eyes locked on the green oceans below. "That's what we're here to find out." The Vanguard touched down on the surface with a gentle hum, landing in an open valley near the ruins of what looked like an abandoned outpost. The air was breathable. The soil was rich. The planet was perfect. So why had it been abandoned? The team stepped onto the surface. Silence. No animal sounds. No wind. No movement. Just the faint hiss of their suits adjusting to atmospheric pressure. "All right," Elias said, gripping his scanner. "Reed, check the outpost. Carter, set up the drone relay. Let's see what the hell happened here." As Reed approached the ruins, the wind shifted. Elias blinked. A shadow moved in the distance. Not a person, something else. His fingers hovered over his weapon. "Did anyone see that?" Carter turned. "See what?" Elias opened his mouth, then hesitated. The shadow was gone. Just his imagination. He hoped. The outpost was empty. Dust-covered consoles, shattered equipment, rusted doors pried open from the inside. "Whatever happened here, they left in a hurry," Reed muttered. He wiped dust off a cracked monitor. But why? Elias tapped at the controls, trying to reboot the system. The screen flickered. Then, against all odds, it lit up. A corrupted file played on the monitor. A video log. A woman's face appeared. Terrified, her voice was fragmented, but the words that made it through sent a chill down Elias's spine. "We tried to stop it, but it started again. No matter what we do, it repeats. It always repeats." Static swallowed the rest. Reed stepped back. "Captain, what does that mean?" Before Elias could answer, the ground shook. Carter yelled over comms. Captain, we've got a problem." Elias turned toward the landing site, and his blood ran cold. The Vanguard was gone. Not destroyed, not taken, just gone. As if it had never been there. And where it had once stood, another ship was there instead. An identical ship. Same design, same markings, same weathered scratches along the hull. Reed's voice trembled. That's our ship!" Elias's hands clenched into fists. "No," he whispered. "That's the last team's ship." And as the realization settled in, so did the whispers. Faint voices carried on the wind, repeating the same words over and over. "Do not return. It will begin again." The Vanguard was gone, and in its place stood the last cruise ship. Same model, same serial number, same damage. Elias's pulse thundered in his ears. "This isn't possible." Reed's hands trembled as she scanned the hull. "Captain, this ship has been here for decades." Carter checked his communicator. "The Vanguard's beacon isn't responding." His voice shook. "It's like it was never here." Elias forced himself to think. Stay calm. Figure it out. There has to be an explanation. Then the ship's ramp lowered. With a slow mechanical hiss, the airlock opened. Elias froze, because the people who stepped out were them. Reed staggered back, staring at herself, at another version of herself. Same face, same uniform, same wide, horrified eyes. "What the hell is this?" she gasped. The other Elias looked just as stunned. "Who are you?" Carter cursed. "This has to be some kind of simulation, right? A trick?" The other crew's faces were pale, drawn, exhausted. "We don't have time," the other Elias said. "If you're here, then it's already happening again." Elias clenched his jaw. "What's happening?" The other Elias's eyes darkened. "The loop." Inside the old ship, the air was stale, metallic. The consoles were outdated, worn from decades of decay. Reed stared at the crew logs, her hands shaking. "The logs are ours, Captain," she whispered. "Same names, same mission. They even describe landing here today." Elias didn't speak, because he already understood. They weren't the first crew here. They were just the latest. His eyes fell to the last entry, a video file. He pressed play. The other Elias appeared on the screen, older, worn, defeated. His voice was hoarse. "We tried to stop it, but it always resets." Reed swallowed hard. "What resets?" The video Elias exhaled shakily. "Time." He looked up, staring directly into the camera. "We land, we investigate, we disappear, then it starts again." Static swallowed the rest. The real Elias's throat went dry. "How does it end?" The other Elias shook his head. "It doesn't." Outside, the wind howled. Carter turned pale. "Guys, the outpost is gone." Elias snapped to attention. "What?" Carter pointed through the viewport. The structures were vanishing, not collapsing, not being destroyed, just erasing. Reed gripped the console. "It's happening again, isn't it?" The other Elias nodded. "We have minutes before we're erased too." The air grew heavy. The whispers returned, louder this time. Elias clenched his fists. He wouldn't let this happen. Not again. The world was disappearing. The outpost was gone. The land where it stood was smooth, untouched, like nothing had ever been built there. The wind howled as the sky flickered, distorting like a glitched hologram. The entire planet was resetting. Carter's breath hitched. "How do we stop this?" The other Elias stared at him. "We don't." Elias clenched his fists. "There has to be a way." The older version of himself hesitated. Then, slowly, he lifted a small data drive from his belt. "This is the only thing that stays. Every loop, we leave this behind, hoping the next version of us can figure it out." Elias took it, his fingers trembling. "What's on it?" The older Elias sighed. "Our last attempt." The whispers grew deafening. The ground trembled as the old ship started to vanish. First the hull, then the doors, piece by piece dissolving into nothing. Reed pulled up her scanner. "Captain, we have 2 minutes." The older crew didn't move. They just stared at them, waiting. "Come with us," Elias said. The other Elias gave him a sad smile. "We never do." And then they were gone. Elias sprinted back toward the new Vanguard. Their Vanguard. It was back where it should be, standing where the old ship had been before. Reed gasped. "We're already in the loop, aren't we?" "We've always been in the loop," Carter muttered. "We just didn't know it." They boarded. Elias shoved the data drive into the main console. The screen flickered. Logs, maps, a repeating pattern of every crew that had come before them. Every version of themselves, hundreds of them. The logs always ended the same way, reset, over and over. But there was one difference. A single file, new, not from before, a transmission from a future version of himself. Elias hesitated, then played it. His own voice whispered, "The only way out is to leave someone behind." Silence. The crew stared at each other. "No," Reed said, shaking her head. "There has to be another way." Elias's jaw tightened. He already knew. The loop needed an anchor. Someone had to stay behind to become the next echo, to warn the next version of them. Carter stepped forward. "Captain." Elias locked the controls. "No," he said. "I'll do it." Before anyone could argue, he pressed launch. The ship roared to life. Through the viewport, Elias saw Reed and Carter pounding on the glass as the ship lifted off without him. And then, just as before, everything vanished. The world was new. The planet had never been touched. And Elias was standing alone, waiting